In the quiet silence of deep space far beyond the stars visible to the human eye, something strange happened. A signal was sent, not from a star, not from a planet, not from any machine. It was something else, something alive. The signal moved silently across the galaxy, unnoticed by most until it finally reached Earth. At the Global Space Observatory, hidden in the deserts of Arizona, massive antennas were always listening. They picked up the signal in the middle of the night. It was faint but not random. It had a pulse, a pattern. Computers flagged it as unknown, and it was forwarded to Dr. Ryan Carter, a young and brilliant space scientist who had joined the project only 2 years ago. Ryan was working late that night, alone in his lab, drinking cheap coffee and staring at blinking lights on his monitor. When he opened the file, something changed in his eyes. He leaned forward. The signal repeated every 47 seconds. A low, humming wave followed by short pulses. It almost sounded like a voice. Not a human voice, but something trying to speak. He ran simulations, applied translation filters, even tried Morse code. Nothing worked, but deep in the signal, Ryan noticed something familiar. Coordinates. They pointed to a region of space known as Sector 9X. Officially, it was called a dead zone. No stars, no light, no known planets. A black void. He had read about it during his university days. Some believed it was a collapsed star field. Others said it was a mistake in the mapping system. But now it was calling. Ryan rushed to inform the project director, but the reaction was not what he expected. Instead of curiosity, he saw fear. Within hours, government agents arrived. His access to the signal was revoked. His login ID was disabled. The lab was shut down, and he was told the signal was nothing important. Ryan knew they were hiding something. He had seen the fear in their eyes. Not ready to give up, Ryan downloaded parts of the signal into a hidden drive before his access was blocked. Back at his apartment, he continued decoding it in secret. Days passed. He didn't sleep much. He filled his walls with printouts, maps, and notes. Slowly, the signal began to make more sense. It wasn't just coordinates. It was a warning. A clear one. Something was coming. Something that had already destroyed other systems. The signal was not from an enemy. It was from a survivor. As he made sense of the final sequence, Ryan sat back in his chair, eyes wide. The message ended, with a final line repeated 3 times in deep frequency waveforms. They are coming. That same night, across the skies of Earth, people began reporting strange lights. At first, they looked like meteors, glowing, silent streaks of blue and green fire, but they didn't fall like rocks. They floated, hovered, moved slowly, then suddenly vanished. Over major cities like New York, Tokyo, Cairo, and Berlin, these lights appeared at the exact same time. News channels called them celestial events. Social media exploded with theories. Some thought it was a secret military test. Others believed it was an alien visit. Ryan didn't sleep that night. He stood on his apartment rooftop, eyes on the sky, heart pounding. He knew these lights were not random. The timing matched the final sequence of the signal. Then, just before dawn, it happened. A bright light flashed in the sky over Nevada. Unlike the others, this one didn't vanish. It came crashing down at high speed, disappearing behind the hills near a top-secret military base. There was no explosion, no fire, just a silent fall and a deep vibration that could be felt in nearby towns. Within minutes, military helicopters and trucks moved toward the area. The entire region was locked down. Ryan saw the live reports and felt a cold chill run through his body. It was happening. The warning was real. Whatever had sent the signal was trying to help, but it was too late. They had already arrived. Alone in his apartment with only a few clues and a head full of questions, Ryan stared at the blinking red dot on his screen, the signal's source. He knew he had to go there, to Sector 9X. He didn't know what he would find, or if he would return, but one thing was clear. Earth was no longer alone. And something out there was watching. The Silence of space had been broken, and whatever had arrived was just getting started. In the heart of the desert, under the watchful eyes of armed guards, something alien had fallen. It was a dark cube, black as obsidian, and humming with silent energy. Soldiers in protective gear surrounded it, weapons raised but unused. No, one knew what it was, only that it was not of this world. Dr. Ryan Carter stood a few hundred meters away, hidden behind a cluster of sand dunes. He had slipped past the perimeter under the cover of night, guided by the fragments of the strange signal he had decoded. His heart thumped in his chest as he watched the military technicians examine the cube with scanners and instruments. The air was tense and still. The moon cast long shadows across the base, and the desert wind carried a faint metallic scent. Word of the crash had spread quickly through the top levels of government. They called it Object X, and no civilian was allowed anywhere near it. Yet Ryan believed the cube held answers about the warning signal and the threat moving toward Earth. He crept closer, keeping low, until he crouched behind a weathered concrete barrier that bore bullet marks and scorch decals. From there, he could see the cube resting on a metal platform encased in energy shields. A group of soldiers in white suits moved in a circle, scanning for radiation or contamination. Ryan took a steadying breath. He clicked on a device he carried, an improvised hacking tool he had built in his apartment. It could override security cameras or unlock doors designed to keep out intruders. He aimed it at a guard tower's camera, and with a soft beep, the video feed glitched and went dark. The guard below cursed and slapped the camera as if that would fix it. Ryan slipped past that tower and into a narrow corridor carved from the rocks leading toward a hidden entrance under the platform. His pulse raced. Inside the base, the corridor was lit by harsh fluorescent lights that flickered now and then. Pipes and cables lined the walls. He followed the faint hum of machinery down a winding corridor until he found an electrical panel marked Caution, High Voltage. Glancing over his shoulder, he pried it open and spliced a short wire between two breakers. A spark flew. In the distance, alarms began to wail. Ryan ducked behind a support beam and braced himself as guards ran past, shouting orders. Moments later, he emerged into a vast hangar where the cube sat alone. Technicians in lab coats hovered around it, jotting notes on tablets. The energy shield had flickered off, likely due to Ryan's electronic disturbance. He took a cautious step forward. The cube's surface rippled, like oil on water, as if it was alive. Ryan reached out, hand trembling. The tip of his finger brushed the smooth side. Instantly, the cube reacted. Panels slid open, exposing interior facets glowing with greenish light. Tiny ridges unfolded, revealing a central core that pulsed with energy, almost like a beating heart. Ryan's breath caught. He pressed a better scanner against the cube's panel. Data scrolled across the device's screen faster than he could read. Symbols, coordinates, star maps, and lines of text in an unknown language appeared. He quickly took notes, hoping the lab inside his mind could translate something useful. A sudden hiss filled the air. The cube separated further, unfolding into a geometric shape that resembled a dodecahedron. Holographic displays projected from its surface, hovering in the open air. Within the holograms, Ryan saw countless worlds, cities under fire, skies torn by storms of blue and red energy, ships exploding in orbit. Entire landscapes were scarred by fire and ash. The images changed rapidly, showing the rise and fall of civilizations, all connected by a thin thread leading back to Earth. Faces of alien beings flickered in ghostly outlines, expressions of pain and fear etched on their pale skin. It looked like a record of destruction. Ryan's mind raced. He realized this was not just a message. It was a history. History of worlds that had fallen to the same threat now bearing down on Earth. He felt his chest tighten. Somewhere nearby, soldiers gasped and followed his line of sight. A big man in uniform shouted, "It's making a projection." He raised his voice. "Get back. Clear the area." But before they could move, the cube emitted a low, resonant hum that vibrated through the floor. A disembodied voice filled the hangar. It was neither male nor female. It sounded weary and urgent. It said in fractured English, "Turn away, you cannot stop it. They are coming, we couldn't stop them." Soldiers froze. Ryan felt a shiver run down his spine. He pressed his hands against his ears, but the voice seemed to come from everywhere. The holograms glowed brighter, then faded, leaving only the constellations above. On the floor, a map flickered into existence, showing star systems connected by lines. One line blazed in red, pointing directly to Sul, Earth's sun. Ryan's heart sank. The realization hit him. Earth was next. Alarms blared. Guards aimed rifles at the cube. A lieutenant barked, "Destroy it!" Large beams of energy shot toward the cube, but the beams dissipated as they touched it. The cube's surface absorbed them, glowing brighter. The alien voice, returned now strained. "Countdown begins." Ryan ducked as the cube's panels slid shut with the force of hydraulic arms. A digital timer projected onto the floor in bold numbers, 00, 59, 58. 2 minutes left. Panic erupted. Soldiers shouted orders, fumbling to secure the perimeter. Technicians ran for cover. Ryan crouched behind a crate, thinking fast. He knew he could not let the cube detonate. He dashed forward, weaving between soldiers and crates. A metal pipe lay on the ground. He scooped it up and jammed it into a panel opening on the cube's side. Sparks flew as he yanked at a set of wires. He had seen something about disconnecting the power conduit in the flickering data feed. The timer dropped to 0:59:10. Ryan twisted the pipe, ripping wires free. The cube shuddered. Its surface rippled as if in pain. The countdown paused. 00:59. Then it resumed. Ryan's hands were shaking so badly he could barely hold the pipe. Beads of sweat dripped down his forehead. The second hand ticked. 00:58. 457 056. The hangar was chaos. The cube's glow dimmed, but the timer's number still burned bright. Ryan looked at the disconnected wires. He needed to reroute the circuit, to break the sequence entirely. He connected a loose cable to a nearby power conduit, hoping to short-circuit the countdown mechanism. The cube's hum rose to a deafening pitch. Then, with a final flash of blinding light, it powered down. The timer froze at 03. Silence fell. Guards stared, jaws dropped. The holograms vanished. The cube's panels held, but its glow was gone. Ryan sank to his knees, exhausted, breathing hard. A voice crackled over a radio. "All clear. The object is secure." Ryan wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. He dared not move. The cube remained still, but he knew it wasn't just a piece of debris. It was a beacon, a warning, and possibly a weapon. He had bought Earth a little time, but time was short. As he stepped back, he saw a technician approach the cube, face pale. He whispered, "It showed me everything. We're not ready." Ryan nodded, voice hoarse. "We never will be." He took one last look at the cube before guards escorted everyone out. The object lay silent now, only a few feet from where the world's fate might hinge. Outside, the dawn was breaking. Ryan felt the first rays of sunlight on his face, but the warmth did little to comfort him. He knew the real battle had not yet begun. The cube had spoken the truth. Something was coming, and Earth was in its path. Only time would tell if humanity could rise to the challenge. The world had not yet recovered from the shock of the cube crash when it happened. At first, no one noticed. A few missing stars here and there, too small a change for anyone to panic. But within hours, observatories around the planet reported the same terrifying thing. Constellations were disappearing from the night sky. It was not a natural event. Something was coming, something huge, something dark enough to swallow starlight. Dr. Ryan Carter sat alone in his apartment, surrounded by holograms, signal fragments, and projected star charts. He hadn't slept since the cube's near detonation. The image burned in his memory, the countdown, the warning, the phrase, "They are coming." Now, watching the sky blink out one star at a time, he felt the weight of it. The final message from the alien signal had not been a metaphor. The darkness wasn't symbolic, it was literal. His computer buzzed with alerts. A new anomaly had entered the solar system. No known ID, no trajectory consistent with any comet or asteroid. It was massive and moving at an unnatural speed. Space agencies across the globe went silent, government networks locked down, and world leaders gathered behind closed doors. Ryan wasn't invited, not anymore. But he had hacked into the back door of the network using leftover credentials. He watched in silence as blurry satellite images revealed a terrifying truth. A colossal object, not a ship, but a swarm, was moving through space. It was shaped like a vast cloud, made of thousands of smaller vessels, dark and jagged. Together, they moved like a single creature, organic yet mechanical, alive yet constructed. The swarm was heading directly for Earth. In a secret research facility buried beneath the Rocky Mountains, the cube had been relocated. Scientists worked around, the clock trying to reactivate it, hoping it held more answers, but it remained silent, cold, still. The countdown had stopped, but the threat hadn't. Every hour brought new reports, satellites blinking offline, deep space probes going dark, communications failing beyond Mars. Ryan had seen this pattern in the cube's holographic memory. First silence, then darkness, then destruction. As nations prepared defenses, Ryan knew conventional weapons would be useless. These ships had wiped out civilizations stronger than Earth's. He needed more data, and he knew where to get it. With a fake ID badge and help from a former lab colleague, Ryan infiltrated the research facility under the mountains. The halls were full of soldiers, tension in every step. In the central chamber, the cube sat in silence. But as Ryan approached, something changed. The surface shimmered, only slightly, like a breath. Ryan held out his hand. No one else saw it. The cube responded only to him. "Activate interface," Ryan whispered. The cube pulsed once with blue light. Its panels opened again, but only part way. A soft hum returned. A single hologram flickered to life. A star system, not Earth, but another. One destroyed by the swarm. Then a second system, a third, a fourth. Each one fell the same way. Ships arrived, skies turned dark, planets were consumed. But then, a fifth system. It had survived. Barely. Ryan studied the hologram. There was a structure there. A ring around a planet's orbit. A weapon, a shield. Something had slowed the swarm, given that world a chance. Coordinates appeared. Ryan copied them instantly. He turned to the nearby guards. "I need a secure channel. Now, we might have a chance." They didn't believe him. But minutes later, General Dawson, commander of Earth's Planetary Defense Force, stood face to face with Ryan. The general had seen the cube. He had read the reports. And though he didn't trust Ryan, he listened. "There's a system that fought them back," Ryan said. "Barely. The cube just showed it. If we can reach that place, maybe we can find something. A weakness, a strategy, anything." Dawson stared at him for a long moment. Then he nodded. "We'll send a team." Ryan shook his head. "Not a team, me, alone. I know how to work the cube. It chose me. If anyone else goes, they'll die before they understand anything." The general didn't like it, but time was running out. Above Earth, the stars were still fading. The swarm was close. In secret, a prototype spacecraft was prepared, built with alien-inspired tech, designed for speed and stealth. Ryan called it the Echo, named after the signal that started everything. As he stood before the launch platform, helmet under his arm, he glanced up at the darkening sky. News reports said it was a weather phenomenon. Others said it was an eclipse. Ryan knew better. The swarm was already near Saturn. Within days, they'd reach Earth's orbit. Mankind's last hope rested on a single desperate mission. As the Echo launched into the void, the Earth grew smaller behind him. The stars ahead were darker than ever. And deep within his ship, the cube pulsed once, like a heartbeat, as if it knew this was only the beginning. End hook. As Ryan's ship left Earth's orbit, A small black vessel detached from the edge of the swarm and silently followed him into the dark. Dr. Ryan Carter had never felt so alone. Inside the Echo, the deep space vessel hurtled through the darkness at impossible speeds. Behind him, Earth was shrinking into the distance, blue, fragile, unaware of the nightmare approaching. Ahead of him, nothing but the void. And somewhere in that void, the coordinates the cube had shown him, a system that had fought the swarm and survived, the last known stand of a forgotten world. The cube rested in a secure chamber at the heart of the ship, humming quietly now like it was asleep. Sometimes it flickered with light, responding to the signals around them. Ryan often sat beside it, watching for patterns, listening for more messages. But the cube said nothing. It was waiting, just like him. After 2 days in hyperspace, Ryan dropped out of faster-than-light travel. The ship jolted slightly. Alarms buzzed. The screen lit up with a warning. Gravitational distortion detected. Ryan leaned forward. Before him, the lost system emerged from the darkness. 5 planets, orbiting a cold, dying star. 3 of the planets were shattered, cracked into pieces like broken glass. 1 was covered in metal wreckage, surrounded by floating ruins of what used to be warships. And the 5th, the one the cube had marked, was still whole. He scanned it quickly. No signals, no heat, no signs of life. But something was still running down there. A weak power source buried deep beneath the surface. The planet's name was forgotten in human language, but the cube had labeled it Virion. Ryan set a landing course. As the Echo descended through the silent clouds of Virion, Ryan saw tall, ruined towers beneath him, twisted and blackened by fire. He landed near a massive crater surrounded by long-dead machines. The sky was a dull orange filled with dust. Wind howled through the empty streets of a forgotten alien city. It looked like a place where the war never really ended. Ryan stepped onto the surface wearing a reinforced suit. The air was breathable, barely, but cold and thin. Every step echoed on broken stone. He followed the signal from his scanner, leading him toward a collapsed structure at the edge of a canyon. The readings were strange, old, but still active. Deep under the rubble, something was alive. He climbed through the ruins, crawling past shattered windows and cracked control panels. Alien writing covered the walls, glowing faintly when he passed. The cube reacted in his backpack, buzzing softly, glowing in rhythm with the strange symbols. Then suddenly, Ryan found a lift. Still powered, still working. He stepped inside and pressed the only working button. It took him down. Deep beneath the surface, the lift opened into a vast underground chamber, untouched by the destruction above. There in the center sat a structure that looked like a mix of temple and command center. Floating holograms blinked to life as he entered, showing alien faces, words, battle reports. But one thing stood out. A massive, circular device on the far wall with arms that extended like a satellite dish. It was the weapon, or maybe a shield. Ryan approached. The cube buzzed wildly now. He placed it onto a circular platform at the base of the device. The whole chamber shook. Lights flickered on. The device powered up for the first time in centuries. Voice filled the room, soft, tired, and not human. Interface accepted. Virion's final legacy, restored. The cube began downloading something, a stream of alien data, too fast for Ryan to fully process. But he caught glimpses, diagrams, energy pulses, swarm patterns, and one clear phrase in translated English. To stop the swarm, you must become what they fear. Ryan backed away, heart pounding. The device was not just a weapon, it was a transformation system, meant to rewrite a being's body, mind, even DNA to adapt to the swarm's hive tactics. It had been used once long ago by a warrior who fought them and died. The system had been hidden since. Too dangerous. Too unpredictable. He had a choice. activate the machine and risk losing himself, or return to Earth with the data, hoping someone else could build a safer version in time. But he knew Earth didn't have time. The swarm would arrive soon. And right now he was the only one who had a chance. Ryan stepped onto the platform. The cube pulsed once, sending energy through the chamber. The machine came alive, scanning, his body rewriting patterns. Pain seared through his veins like fire. Images flashed in his mind and of swarm creatures, their minds linked, their fear of one figure, the one who resisted. When it ended, Ryan collapsed to the floor, gasping. His eyes glowed faintly. His senses were sharper. He could hear things far away, feel energy in the walls, and, most important, he could sense something behind him. A ship, not his. It had followed him through space. A black vessel hovered silently in the sky above Virion, its shape like a dagger in the wind. It had no lights, no markings, but Ryan felt its presence. It was Swarm, and it had found him. Dr. Ryan Carter barely made it back to the Echo before the black swarm ship touched down on Virion's surface. The moment the ship's sleek, dark hull gleamed under the orange sky, Ryan felt a cold wave of dread. The scout inside wasn't just observing, it was learning, waiting for the right moment to strike. Inside the ship, Ryan's enhanced senses detected movement. Small, quick, intelligent. Something alive, something hostile. But this wasn't a mindless drone like the cube's warnings described. This was something different, something more dangerous. Ryan sealed himself in the cockpit and activated the ship's stealth mode. The engines hummed softly as the Echo lifted off the ground, climbing away from Virion's ruined landscape. He watched the swarm ship follow silently, like a shadow. His mind raced. The transformation the ancient device had forced on him was working. He could feel his thoughts sharpening, his reflexes speeding up. But more than that, he could sense the swarm's collective mind, a cold, dark intelligence that stretched across the void like a web. It was curious about him now, focused. Suddenly, a strange transmission cut through the static on his radio. The voice was robotic, distorted, but clearly directed at him. You carry the legacy of Virion. You are an anomaly. Why do you resist? The Hive? Ryan's hand shook as he replied. Because Earth is not a battlefield, we fight to survive. The voice hissed, almost amused. Survival is adaptation. Join us, or be consumed. Ryan's heart pounded. This was no ordinary enemy speaking. It was the Hive scout, the first real contact with the swarm. He realized that this encounter was a test, a warning, a battle of wills played across invisible waves. He knew Earth's time was running out. The swarm was not just coming to conquer. It wanted to absorb, to change everything into itself. Ryan had changed too, but he still had his mind, his will. The transmission ended. Silence returned. But Ryan was not alone. His enhanced senses caught dozens of smaller ships converging on the Echo. The swarm had called reinforcements. With a deep breath, Ryan activated the ship's weapons, alien tech salvaged from the cube and the Virion ruins. Energy beams crackled, and the battle for survival began. In the blackness of space, with Earth watching and waiting, a single question echoed. Could one man hold back the coming darkness? Or was humanity doomed to join the lost worlds swallowed by the swarm? After the fierce battle above the ruined planet, the Echo drifted quietly in the shadow of Virion's last standing moon. Ryan Carter's body still hummed with the energy from the ancient transformation, and his mind raced faster than ever. The swarm ships had retreated for now, but Ryan knew this was just the beginning. His ship's systems picked up the mysterious signal again, the one from Virion's fallen hero. The message was clear: find the core, destroy the Hive. Ryan studied the data carefully. The core was hidden deep inside the swarm's massive network, a dark place where all their minds connected. It was both a command center and a source of power. If he could destroy it, he might break the swarm's control over their countless ships and drones. Earth would finally have a chance. but getting there would not be easy. Using the cube's coordinates and the alien data downloaded from the Virion device, Ryan charted a course into the heart of the swarm. The further he went, the thicker the darkness became. Stars vanished behind layers of black ships, and the pressure in his ship rose as strange gravitational fields pulled and pushed against him. Ryan activated the ship's advanced sensors, searching for a way inside the swarm. His enhanced senses tingled as the swarm's collective mind became stronger around him. It was like swimming through a sea of intelligence, alien, vast, and terrifying. Suddenly, the ship shook violently. A swarm of smaller drones surrounded the Echo, trying to break through its shields. Ryan's hands flew over the controls, firing energy blasts, dodging attacks. The drones exploded one by one, but more kept coming. In the chaos, Ryan's mind connected deeper to the cube, and a new vision flashed before him: the core itself. A glowing, pulsating orb of energy, surrounded by a massive hive structure. It was alive and watching. Ryan made a bold decision. He disengaged the weapons and used the cube's ancient technology to cloak the Echo. Moving like a ghost through the swarm, he navigated toward the core's location. Inside the hive, the dark energy was almost unbearable. Ryan's heart pounded, but his enhanced senses guided him. As he approached, massive tentacle-like structures reached out to trap the ship. He barely escaped, weaving through the maze of living metal and pulsating energy. Finally, he saw it, the core, a gigantic orb, pulsing with power, connected to thousands of ships like a brain. Ryan knew that to destroy it, he needed to overload its energy, but the core was protected by layers of shields and deadly defenses. With no time to lose, Ryan activated the cube's weapon mode, an ancient alien technology designed to disrupt energy fields. The cube glowed bright blue, and a beam shot from the Echo directly at the core. The hive screamed in anger. The core shook, pulsed faster, and then exploded in a massive wave of energy. Swarm ships flickered and collapsed like dying stars. The dark fog began to lift. Ryan's ship was caught in the blast, spinning out of control. But the last thing he saw before losing consciousness was the light of distant Earth, growing closer, brighter, hope returning. Ryan Carter woke slowly. The cold metal walls of the Echo surrounded him, silent except for the soft hum of the ship's systems. His body ached, but something deep inside him was different. The transformation had not just changed his strength or senses, it had changed his very nature. Outside, Earth's blue glow grew bigger in the viewport. After weeks, in the void, Ryan was finally heading home. But the galaxy was no longer safe. The swarm had been weakened but not destroyed. Pieces of the dark hive still drifted through space, ready to strike again. As the Echo entered Earth's orbit, military ships surrounded the vessel. Their commanders watched cautiously, unsure if Ryan was friend or threat. But Ryan was no longer just a scientist. The alien technology within him gave him power beyond any human soldier. General Dawson greeted him with a hard look. "We heard the core exploded, but the swarm may come back. What now?" Ryan stepped forward, his eyes glowing faintly with the alien light still inside him. "They will come again. But I'm ready. I've been changed to fight them, to protect Earth." Scientists and soldiers alike watched in awe as Ryan demonstrated his new abilities. He could sense energy fields, communicate silently through the cube, and control advanced technology with just a thought. The line between man and machine had blurred. The world's leaders quickly agreed. Ryan would become Earth's guardian. His mission was to prepare humanity for the swarm's return and find a way to stop them forever. But Ryan knew the fight was far from over. The hive was vast, and the swarm's shadow stretched beyond their reach. Alone, he could defend Earth, but to win, he needed allies. In secret labs, teams worked to study the alien technology Ryan brought back. New weapons and ships were built, inspired by the ancient designs from Virion. Ryan trained new pilots, teaching them how to use their minds and machines as one. One night, as Ryan stood on the surface looking up at the stars, a new signal reached his mind. It was faint, distant, but clear. The swarm was not finished. It was gathering strength, preparing for another wave. Ryan's jaw tightened. The Guardian's journey had just begun. The days after Ryan's return were a whirlwind. Scientists and military leaders worked non-stop, racing to understand the alien tech woven into Ryan's body and the Echo. Earth was preparing for war, but Ryan knew that fighting the swarm alone was a losing battle. The enemy was too vast, too relentless. One evening, while studying the cube's data, Ryan discovered an old encrypted message hidden deep in its memory. The message showed a star system far beyond Virion, a place where another civilization had once fought the swarm and survived. Their technology was different, advanced in ways Earth hadn't imagined. It was a beacon of hope. Ryan presented the discovery to the Earth Defense Council. "We're not alone in this fight. There are others out there who know the swarm. We must find them, make an alliance." The council hesitated. Sending a ship so far into unknown space was risky, but Ryan's determination won them over. A new mission was planned: to reach this distant civilization and convince them to join the battle for Earth's survival. Ryan volunteered to lead the mission, his connection to the alien technology making him the only one capable of navigating the dangerous journey. He was joined by a small team: pilots, scientists, and a diplomat, each trained to face the unknown. As the Echo prepared for the next jump, Ryan felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. This mission was more than exploration. It was Earth's last hope. After weeks in hyperspace, the team arrived at the distant system. It was beautiful, a cluster of planets bathed in green light, with signs of life everywhere. But the welcome was cold. The civilization called the Thalkar were wary of outsiders. They had fought the swarm too, but their scars ran deep. Ryan reached out, sharing what he had learned, showing the cube, and explaining Earth's situation. Slowly, trust began to build. The Thalkar shared their own stories, their weapons, and their strategies against the swarm. Together they forged a pact, a new alliance. Earth and the Thalkar would stand united, combining their strengths to face the swarm's next attack. But not everyone was pleased. Deep in the shadows of the Thalkar homeworld, a faction opposed to the alliance stirred, fearing the swarm was too powerful and the humans too unpredictable. Ryan sensed the tension, but focused on the bigger battle ahead. With new allies at his side, Earth's chance to survive had never been stronger. The calm before the storm was brief. No sooner had Earth and the Thalkar sealed their alliance than the swarm struck. Without warning, dark fleets poured from the shadows of space, moving faster and stronger than anyone had expected. The first target, the Thalkar homeworld. Ryan stood on the command bridge of the Echo, his eyes scanning the battlefield on the holographic display. Swarm ships swarmed the planet's orbit like locusts, darkening the stars. The Thalkar fleets engaged, bravely, but their weapons barely slowed the enemy's advance. "Shields are failing," a pilot shouted. "They're breaking through." Ryan's enhanced senses picked up the swarm's hive mind, now angry and desperate. They had lost the core once, but they were learning, adapting. The hive had sent its most deadly warriors, the swarm queens, to lead this attack. With no time to waste, Ryan coordinated Earth's reinforcements. Human fighters and Thalkar warships moved in unison, their combined technology lighting up the void. Energy beams cut through the dark like lightning. On the ground, the battle was just as fierce. Swarm creatures poured from crash pods, spreading destruction across cities and forests. Earth and Thalkar forces fought side by side, but the enemy was relentless. Ryan led a strike team in a fast assault ship, diving through enemy lines to hit the swarm's supply hubs. The air crackled with energy as his team unleashed alien weapons recovered from Virion and the Thalkar archives. Suddenly, the ship shook violently. An enormous swarm queen appeared, larger and more terrifying than anything Ryan had seen. Its multiple eyes glowed red and its limbs dripped with dark energy. It roared a challenge. Ryan's heart pounded. This was no ordinary battle. It was a fight for survival. With a shout, he activated the cube's power, his body glowing with alien light. He charged forward, dodging deadly attacks and striking with precision. The fight was brutal and close, but Ryan's determination, combined with the strength of the Alliance, turned the tide. The Swarm Queen fell, its death cry echoing through space. Yet Ryan knew this was only the beginning. The Swarm's armies would return, bigger, faster, and smarter. The siege had begun, and Earth's fate hung by a thread. The skies over Earth darkened as the largest swarm fleet ever assembled approached. Ryan Carter stood at the helm of the Echo, the alien cube pulsing with energy in his hand. This was it, the final battle for humanity's future. Allied fleets from Earth and the Thalkar filled the orbit, weapons charged and ready. Below, cities were fortified, and armies stood prepared. The swarm had learned, adapted, and evolved, but so had Ryan and his allies. As the enemy surged forward, Ryan's enhanced senses picked up every movement, every thought in the hive mind. He felt the swarm's confidence crack. The core's destruction had weakened them, but they fought with desperation now. Energy beams clashed in the void. Ships exploded in fiery bursts, while fighter pilots weaved through swarms of drones. Ryan led the charge, his body glowing with alien power, moving faster and stronger than any human. Inside the massive swarm mothership, Ryan fought through endless corridors filled with hostile creatures. The hive queens were desperate, sending wave after wave of defenders. But Ryan was relentless. With each step, he disrupted their control systems, sabotaging the hive from within. Finally, he reached the heart, the rebuilt core. It pulsed wildly, trying to regenerate its power. Ryan placed the cube on the surface and activated its full force. The core began to destabilize, shaking violently. The ship trembled as the hive mind screamed in rage. Ryan barely escaped before the core exploded in a blinding flash of light, destroying the mothership and breaking the swarm's command network. Back in orbit, the remaining swarm ships faltered and fled. The Allied fleets cheered, but Ryan knew this victory was hard-won. Earth was safe, for now. But the universe was vast, and new threats would rise. Ryan, the Guardian, stood ready. He had become more than a man, a symbol of hope for all who faced the darkness.